How good was Dirk Nowitzki? Let's find out.
It's JAMEENOD, and I'm back up in the building, giving y'all hot topics and reactions and
YouTube, what's going on? This is your guy JAMEENOD, and today we are about to find out how good was Dirk Nowitzki. To this day, I am sick how he beat LeBron James and the Miami Heat, man. That's going to be LeBron's biggest downfall. LeBron is one of my GOAT scorers of all time, but I got to give it to Dirk. He did his big one with that one, man. Dirk was a good player, great player, man. I will never forget that one-legged jump shot, man, that killer jump shot. The dude was a straight scorer, man. I mean, he moved so slow, but was so effective, man. But with that being said, hit that like button, smash that subscribe button. We about to get into it, man. Let's dive deep. Just how good was Dirk Nowitzki? Let's go.
He was a 14-time All-Star. He won one NBA title, and he scored 31,560 points, the sixth best mark ever. Here's the career retrospective of Dirk Nowitzki, his weird basketball upbringing, his early NBA struggles, and the story of the greatest loyalty in NBA history. Road to the NBA, Holger, ballet, saxophone, and basketball. When someone mentions Dirk Nowitzki and his successful NBA career, one man has to be mentioned as well. It's not his father, it's not Mark Cuban, or any of his teammates. His name is Holger Geschwindner, and he was to Dirk what Mr. Miyagi was to the Karate Kid, what Yoda was to Luke Skywalker, and what Mickey was to Rocky Balboa. Holger was the captain of the German basketball team at the 1972 Olympics, and in 1993, at the age of 48, he was competing in the third German league for fun. While he was waiting for his game to start, Holger watched a youth basketball game, and that's when he first noticed a tall, skinny, and blonde kid who didn't have much technique, but had an innate ability to find spots on the floor where he could be effective. Holger approached him, and 3 weeks later, he and Dirk started practicing together every day. And if you had to choose one word to describe those practices, that word would be weird. Nowitzki started shooting with his left leg raised, and then his right. He shot free throws, threes, and bank shots with his right and left hand. Dirk learned to play the guitar to improve the strength and rhythm of his fingers. He learned to dance the waltz and ballet to improve his footwork, and played the saxophone to boost his sense of improvisation. Because Holger studied mathematics and physics, he made a formula for the ideal jump shot for Dirk: his height, length of his shooting arm, and the point of release as parameters, calculating that Dirk needs to shoot with a 60-degree angle.
Yo, this is crazy. Crazy. I mean, learning the guitar so you could be a better basketball player, using science so that you can be a better basketball player, dancing so that you have great footwork. It's absolutely genius. This dude had no flaw in his offensive game. He could shoot with his left, shoot with his right, and he really had good footwork, man. This dude had amazing footwork. This is crazy. I mean, this just shows, that he really wanted to be a good player, man, a great player.
From the outside looking in, Holger was perceived as a mad scientist with highly unorthodox methods, which made zero sense at first. But just like wax on, wax off taught karate moves to Daniel-san, and just how Mickey made Rocky catch a chicken to improve his foot speed, Holger's methods made a huge difference in the long run. After a few years of this crazy training routine, Dirk's footwork and balance were impeccable, and he could shoot from anywhere on the court. When Dirk was 19, he was already averaging 28 points per game. He pushed his home team Würzburg to the first division and was named the best basketball player in the country. Coming to America and early NBA struggles. Dirk was relatively anonymous prior to 1998 when he accepted an invite to Nike Hoop Summit, where he was supposed to play on a world team against the best U.S. high school players. Nowitzki dominated the game, finishing with 33 points and 14 rebounds in the world team's 104-99 win, setting Hoop Summit records that would stand for more than a decade. He was a 7-footer that was dribbling the ball coast to coast like a guard, who made 2 3-pointers and 19 out of 23 free throws. Nobody could stop him, and about half the U.S. players fouled out by trying. It was Dirk's coming out party, and the Dallas Mavericks GM Donnie Nelson had his mind set on who he was going to select in the 1998 NBA draft. Even though the German press killed Nowitzki and Holger for leaving in the middle of the season and missing a game for his personal gain, the risk paid off. 3 months after the Hoop Summit, Dirk was selected 9th overall by the Milwaukee Bucks, who then traded him to the Mavericks for Robert Tractor Traylor. Despite the huge potential the Mavs saw in him, Dirk's rookie NBA season was a pure fight for survival.
I know they regret that trade. I know they regret that trade, man. Like, he was a good player, but he was no Dirk, man. He was no Dirk. They did have some early struggles, him and Steve Nash. But, oh, man, that has to be terrible to look back and see that trade. Terrible.
Despite the huge potential the Mavs saw in him, Dirk's rookie NBA season was a pure fight for survival. He was a 20-year-old in a new country, and he didn't speak English that well yet. The physicality and the fast pace of the NBA game were what he struggled with the most, and he couldn't guard anybody on defense. Dirk even wanted to return home at one point, but he persevered. In his second season, the Mavs got bought by Mark Cuban, who invested a lot of money into training facilities, travel, and sports science. At the same time, things also started to fall into place for the blonde German. He improved from 8 points per game to 17. He grew stronger and got accustomed to physical play, and his shooting touch came alive as a result. As a 39% three-point shooter, Dirk was invited to the three-point competition at the 2000 All-Star Game, becoming the tallest player ever to participate and finishing second. Nowitzki also finished as runner-up for the Most Improved Player award, behind Jalen Rose, which marked the beginning of a new era for the Mavericks. Big Three era, and getting close to the top. Big Three is a phrase you often hear in the NBA. The Mavs also had theirs in the early 2000s, with Nowitzki, small forward Michael Finley, and Steve Nash, who was Dirk's best friend. Dirk established himself as a true superstar in 2001, which was the first of his 11 consecutive All-Star years, and 11 consecutive years that the Mavs would clinch a playoff spot. Dallas had the best offense in the league for 3 years in a row, from 2002 until 2004, and they could score against anybody. But in the postseason, a lack of defensive presence always made them hit a wall. It was either the Spurs or the Kings.
Yeah, man, I remember growing up, man, that Mavericks team offensive power was crazy. I mean, but on defense, they were just sorry on defense. Sorry, but on offense, they were amazing. I mean, they can score in every way that you could think of, man. Michael Finley was no joke. Steve Nash was coming up in the ranks, man. That team was absolutely scary on offense.
A lack of defensive presence always made them hit a wall. It was either the Spurs or the Kings, with better defense, better centers, or simply more luck. In 2005, Cuban was reluctant to offer more than $9 million per year for Steve Nash, who returned to Phoenix. Ironically, it was Nash and the Suns who then ousted the Mavs out of the 2005 playoffs, which caused another roster overhaul. NBA Finals. With the new coach Avery Johnson, the Mavs made great strides on defense in 2006, especially in the pick and roll, which was always Dirk's Achilles heel. Dirk won the three-point contest in the All-Star game that season, and the Mavs won 60 games with a #1 offense in the NBA. In the playoffs, Dallas finally defeated Tim Duncan and the Spurs in 7 games, with a masterful 37-point, 15-rebound effort by Nowitzki in Game 7. The conference finals offered a new duel against his good buddy Nash and the Suns, who stopped Dallas a year earlier. In pivotal Game 5 on the road, Dirk played one of the best games of his career, finishing with 50 points and 12 rebounds. With a win in Game 6 at home, the Mavericks finally advanced to the NBA Finals, their first finals appearance in 26 years as a franchise. It seemed like they were also going to win their first championship with a 2-0 lead in the series, and a 15-point lead in the middle of the fourth quarter of Game 3. But with a few referee calls that didn't go their way, and the phenomenal performance from Dwayne Wade, Dallas couldn't pull through. By the end of the series, Riley had rotated James Posey and Udonis Haslem at Nowitzki, and Dirk had no real answers to their aggressiveness. The Heat won the
Yo, that was an amazing series, man. That was like D-Wade's coming out party, man. D-Wade, I mean, showed out, man. Came out of nowhere. I mean, he put that team on his back, and that was like one of Shaq's last years, like, you know, being relevant. I mean, that team was tough. That was a tough Miami team, man. But Mavericks, they did fight, man. They had some good players on that Mavericks team. But yeah, after that, man, they didn't sniff the finals for a long time, man. But I remember that, man.
6 games. Dirk was still ringless, and Cuban had been fined $250,000 for going onto the floor to yell at officials. Continued excellence and playoff disappointments. Dallas came back even stronger in the 2007 season. They won 67 games and had the best record in the league, and Dirk was magnificent. He averaged 25 points and 9 rebounds, shot 50, 40, 90 for the season, becoming only the 5th player in history to average those shooting percentages for the entire season. The Mavs were supposed to walk over the 8th-seeded Golden State in the playoffs, but it wasn't the case. The team that is now forever known as the We Believe Warriors defeated the Mavericks in 6 games, becoming the first number 8 seed in NBA history that had beaten the number 1 seed in a best-of-7 series. Nowitzki averaged nearly 5 points less than his regular season average in that series, and shot 38% from the field as compared to 50% during the regular season. Some of the media called him soft, a choker, and proclaimed that he'll never win a title. After the series, it was announced that Dirk won the MVP award, and he thus became the first European player to win the Most Valuable Player. However, Dirk was in a sour mood, and he later called this the lowest point of his career. Holger then took him on a 5-week trip to Australia and New Zealand, and they lived in wildlife, in tents, with no contact with the outside world or the NBA. Dirk recovered and
Dang, y'all. I mean, he must have been training Dirk for a long time. And they obviously created a bond because this is later, you know, in his career. They're still close like that. I mean, taking trips like that. They had a bond, man. They bonded over basketball and developing his skills, which that is dope. That is so dope.
life, intense, with no contact with the outside world or the NBA. Dirk recovered and bounced back, and in the next 3 years, he and the Mavericks kept trucking away, each time winning more than 50 games in the regular season, with Dirk making his usual All-Star and All-NBA teams. But the playoff success eluded them, and they couldn't get past the first or second round. Championship season. Before the 2010-2011 season, almost nobody saw the Mavericks as the title contenders. Dirk was 32, Jason Terry was 33, and Jason Kidd was 37 years old. They only added Tyson Chandler to the existing team, but everyone believed that they were supposed to be good enough to make the playoffs and then fizzle out in the first or second round like usual. But suddenly, it all started to click. Tyson Chandler held the entire defense, Jason Kidd controlled the pace, and Dirk couldn't miss a shot. The Mavs won the first round against Portland in 6 games. Then they swept Kobe and the Lakers, who were the defending champions. In Game 1 of the conference finals against the Thunder, Nowitzki scored 4.
And see that right there? The Mavericks were always better than what everybody really thought they were. They swept the Lakers. They swept the Lakers. The Lakers had just won a ship the year before. They swept the Lakers. So this team was just overlooked. People didn't give them the proper due respect that they deserved. This, because I always said this team was better than what people, gave them. They were really good. I mean, really good. Had a lot of good vets on this team.
Who were the defending champions. In Game 1 of the conference finals against the Thunder, Nowitzki scored 48 points and set an NBA record of 24 consecutive free throws made in a game and a record for most free throws in a game without a miss. They would defeat Durant, Westbrook, and Harden in 5 games and secure another finals duel with the Miami Heat, where they were a heavy underdog in the finals against LeBron James, Dwayne Wade, and Chris Bosh. But even though the Heat had more superstars, the Mavs had a more balanced team. They also had Dirk, who played the best and the most clutch basketball.
I always said that. Like, they were so top heavy. They didn't have a good bench. The Heat did not have a good bench. I always used to complain about that. They're relying on 3 guys. If you ain't got a bench, you just cannot win. It's going to be really hard. When another team has reliable bench players and have a more balanced squad, like their center, LeBron was taller than the centers. I mean, Udonis Haslem was playing center. And our bench was just, we just had a whole bunch of guards, 6'2" guards on that bench. Oh man, I used to always complain about that. If they get tired, it's over with. That team showed up for the Mavericks, man.
The Mavs had a more balanced team. They also had Dirk, who played the best and the most clutch basketball of his career. In Game 2, Dirk scored the final 9 points for the Mavs and led a Dallas rally from an 88-73 fourth-quarter deficit, making a left-handed driving layup over Bosh to tie the series at 1 apiece. Despite having the flu in Game 4 and in a true Jordan-esque manner, Nowitzki persevered and hit the winning basket to tie the series at 2-2. Dallas went on to win the next 2 games, with incredible performances performances from the entire team, but it was Nowitzki who pulled the most when it was the most important, and he deservedly won the Finals MVP. Dirk averaged 10.5 points in the fourth quarter of that series. In 4 playoff series in 2011, Nowitzki averaged 28 points per game, with 46% shooting from 3 and an incredible 94% from the free throw line, where it seemed like he couldn't miss. His legendary one-legged fadeaway finally got recognition as one of the deadliest
To this day, I get nightmares about that Mavericks Heat Finals, man. That one-legged shot. I really got to see how good that guy really was, man. Dirk put that team on his back. I mean, that mid-range, that three-point range, that one-legged fadeaway jump shot. This man was moving in slow motion, but killing. Jason Kidd dictating the pace of the game. JJ Barrera was the X factor. I did not know that man was that fast. Jason Terry. Oh my God. I mean, I forgot. I think they had Sean Marion too. They had that team. To this day. Till this day.
moves in NBA history, and Nowitzki was finally crowned and got the praise he deserved for all his hard work, post-championship years, and legacy. The Mavs didn't retain some key pieces from their championship team coming into the lockout-shortened 2012 season, such as Deshaun Stevenson, JJ Barea, and Tyson Chandler. Dirk was still a good enough captain to steer the Mavericks ship to the postseason in the next several years, but they would always sink at the first obstacle. After 2011, Nowitzki never won another playoff series. Despite the lack of team success, Dirk had plenty to be happy about. In 2017, he became only the 6th player in NBA history to reach 30,000 points. In the same year, he won the well-deserved Teammate of the Year award. In 2019, at the age of 40, he finally retired, scoring 30 points in the last game in Dallas. His 21 years with the same franchise became a new NBA record, which is likely not going to be broken soon. His loyalty to the Mavericks is one of the greatest in sports history, especially if we know that he agreed to a smaller salary on 3 different occasions and that he could have been $194 million richer if he insisted on maximum deals. Dirk never even had a manager. He only wanted to win, and he wanted to win in Dallas. That is why his career is special, and that is why his only title is special. Luka Doncic and Nikola Jokic are more talented. Giannis is infinitely more athletic, and Tony Parker has won more rings. But Dirk Nowitzki is still the best European player ever, and one of the best power forwards to play the game, a pioneer who played a brand of basketball 15 years ahead of his time.
Yo, Dirk was that dude, man. I totally agree. I think it's the best, non-American player to have played this game. I wholeheartedly agree. I mean, I think Jokic is on his tail, but if I had to pick a skill set of a player that I would want, it would be Dirk. It would be Dirk. I would mind Dirk. Dirk is in my top 10 players of taking the last shot. I would love for him to take my last shot. For sure. He never complained. He always played hard. He wasn't the greatest defender. That's one thing about him. He was not a good defender. His name does not scare me when it comes to defense. I'm just gonna be honest. But his offense was amazing. Amazing. But that's the video for today, man. Y'all let me know what y'all think in the comment section below. Y'all be sure to hit that like button. Smash that subscribe button. I'm about to get up out of here. It's JAMEENOD, boy.
It's JAMEENOD, and I'm back up in the building. Giving y'all hot topics and reactions, and I'm feeling. Comment your suggestions, and I got ya. And be sure to leave a like and subscribe to the channel. Oh my, I got another one. Oh my, I got another.